Hey everyone, hope you're doing well and welcome to another one of our videos where we're sharing the secrets to our happy marriage. And today we're going to be talking about religion and culture and how we deal with that within our home. So, how did we deal with it in the beginning?
So, in regards to like the culture and religious side, when we first started dating, and I think it's important for everyone who start dating and then when it starts becoming quite serious, leading to marriage, we started talking about, I let her know what culturally was expected in my relationship, in my religion, in my culture, how we ate, about my religion, that it's a peaceful religion, blah blah blah, just talking about my religion, just so she would know where I'm coming from and where my parents and my background is coming from, so that she would respect that. And she did the same with me. She told me about African culture. Obviously everyone's got a little bit of knowledge, but because obviously history is quite bad for the black African nation. And she taught me a little bit. But I told you about like the religion. I bought her a book back from India.
That's it.
Which was basically a translated version of the Holy Sikh book.
That's it.
So she read some paragraphs in there just to get a vague idea of where my parents and our religion
coming from. Exactly. So I read the book because I wanted to know where is just coming from, and then once our kids grow up, I can tell them what I know, and then just can tell them.
And you wouldn't be offended by it or feel left out because you kind of already know a little bit. And plus, then you can respect my family and my parents, and
that's it. I think it's very important to at least know the basics, and that's what I wanted also for Jazz to know. So I explained to Jazz about I'm from Zimbabwe, and obviously everyone knows about the slavery thing and what happened.
And then we went over to Cape Town.
I said to him, like, sometimes it's not really projected how bad it really was, because at the moment I feel like it's almost like whitewashed a bit too much, like, oh, it happened a long time ago, get over it. And I was like, to Jazz, in South Africa and Zimbabwe is still the same. Apartheid only just ended quite recently, so in my lifetime it's something that I've experienced, and I want you to know that and understand that sometimes I might take offense to something that you might not think is offensive, but I want you to understand why I would find it offensive. So I said to him, it was the World Cup, and I said, why don't we go to South Africa for the World Cup, then at least I can take you.
Plus I could meet your mum as well.
And you can meet my mum, and then at least I can take you and you can see with your own eyes exactly what I'm talking about.
Like I said, culturally it was good because I learned a lot firsthand. So again, in your partnerships, it's a major tip is to try and do anything you can before settling down and during the beginning of your relationship to understand culturally and religiously your partner, so that you can then after that start discussing how you're going to live your life as part of both cultures and both religions, so that it doesn't cause an issue later. So when I went to Cape Town, Primrose took me to the slavery lodge. I saw all the horrendous things that had happened. We had a tour guide that told us everything about it. We went to Robben Island. I saw the state at which they were living, to the point where at some stages I was choked up. I couldn't really.
You were
I found
really
it hard
upset
because I felt gutted for her, because I thought, oh wow, this is bad. We should be ashamed of ourselves as human beings. To put other human beings through this. It's disgusting. So and it went on for so long, and you think, wow, these poor people basically couldn't fight back because it happened so long. It almost conditions you to think this is normal. So at that point, she took me, we looked at that. I mean, even leading up to that, she showed me a couple of movies. So what you gotta remember is you can learn about culture and religion through movies as well.
That's it.
And your partner, you could show your partner that if it helps teach them about your culture and religion. So she showed me a couple of movies in regards to, one was called SARAFINA. Whoopi Goldberg's in this movie, baby.
And it's the most amazing movie that really explains the uproar that started in South Africa, that the government was really gonna get turned over, where they had to sort of like release Nelson Mandela from prison to calm the people down, because it got to a point where the youth there were not taking this anymore.
The uprising had begun where they were beating up police and
and
basically
people willing to die.
So at that point, the youth in the universities and colleges, that depicts them when they uprise. Basically riots, they go mad. And the only man that can stop them is Mandela. And that film depicts it really well. So it actually shows that time when he got released.
Yeah.
So it's actually part of that, isn't it?
And it's a shame for some reason you can can't buy this movie anywhere. You can't find it anywhere. Like it's on YouTube, but it's not the complete movie. It's only parts of it. And if anything, if you wanted to get like a quick overview of what happened, this movie gets to the point, and it just breaks your heart basically of what was happening. And then we went to, like I just said, to Robben Island, where Nelson Mandela was kept in prison, and we saw and appreciated like firsthand, this is the food they were eating, this is the conditions they were kept in, and it was just the most
it was awful because you could see the kind of hellhole they were living in, and it was good because it made me understand where my wife was coming from, or my future wife. Well, at that time we were married, so it made me understand where she was coming from, and I could actually see
where I'll take offense to things easily.
I could see you getting emotional.
I was so upset.
Me, I was like,
I was so upset.
Wow, like and now I'm understanding the bad history even more.
And then I took Jazz to Company Gardens. Company Gardens is like a place where the statue of Cecil John Rhodes is.
Cecil Rhodes,
and he is basically the guy who Zimbabwe was named after before they changed the name to Zimbabwe. So it was Rhodesia, so it was basically his surname that he was named after. And this statue, like, it fills me with so much anger that I don't even know why the statue is still up there, why it hasn't been taken down. Because this guy is just basically a murderer and it's just awful. And I took him there, I was like, okay, basically this is, my country is named after this
guy,
I don't even want to call him a human being. And he went there, we saw it. I took you to the benches where, like, the benches, there were benches for white people and black people were not allowed to sit on these benches.
He said white only, black only.
And went to see the benches, we read about it a little bit. And we saw, like, they had plaques there where you could read about what was going on. And so just got to read about that as well. So,
and they also told, and at that time, when I was reading that, it also told us about how once they did apartheid, they separated colours.
Yes.
So you had like different shades of people were graded at a different level.
Yeah.
Even though there was a lot of Indian people there, and a lot of obviously mixed race people because of the British Army messing around with the black slaves or people that lived there, and then obviously having the coloured people. They graded everyone, so they became better level than the absolute dark people. So the Indian people, for example, at that point, then started thinking they were better than the black people.
And started treating them bad.
And same with the coloured, they were treating
the black people bad.
So it's so bad, the history, like it's just constant.
And
it's good for me to have seen that and then understood religiously and culturally the background that my wife came from, so I can respect her.
That's it.
And that was important.
That was really important. And for me, I really appreciated Jazz accepting that, like, okay, this was the history, and willing to actually learn and see for himself. So when we were in Cape Town, we did so much stuff, as well as like the holiday was amazing. The place is absolutely stunning, but at the same time, like sometimes when you're educating your partner, you need to be a bit intelligent on how you do it. So I knew that Jazz loved football, so it was an excuse to go to Cape Town because football was going to be there. So then I could then educate him on the history of my people, and so everyone was a win-win situation, as well as being a holiday in a stunning country.
But that way I realised that obviously my kids need to learn part of their history on that side. And so again, tips on your marriage or relationship. Teach each other about each other's culture. It's important because there's important things that your kids will need to learn. And that's when you sit down, you make an agreement on what you're going to teach them, so that you don't offend either party in that relationship. Another thing Prim did was, and as I said earlier, she showed me that film Sarafina. There's other films also that were based on South Africa at the time. One was called Totsi, which is about basically a young man who's he's basically from a township, and he's trying to just he's trying to make money, and so it shows about Soweto. So I learned about the bad, how bad it is there for these people in the township. There was 12 years a slave. So again, you're learning about the slavery time and the struggle and how people were struggling to be free men. Like, it's awful basically. And the injustices that were done to the slaves at that time. So that's how Prim showed me her side. And my side, I obviously, without going that in depth, I just showed her part of the religion. We went to weddings, parties. Primrose saw the dress up, how people dress up. She ate the food. We went to Indian restaurants, she didn't like lamb. So I said to her, look, lamb's beautiful, come and eat Indian food. So we sat there, I gave her lamb karai or lamb rogan, and she ate it.
And I love it now.
So now that's the only thing she orders when we go there.
Exactly.
culturally, we taught each other about our relationships.
But then we made an agreement that, okay, this is my culture, this is your culture. I mean, in South Africa,
let's teach him a bit of both.
Yeah, he got to eat like the African food and stuff like that. But we said, you know what, we don't want like our cultures to be so dominant in our home. I don't want to be like, okay, I want to be like African, and like I want my kids to make sure they represent me and stuff like that. We said, you know what, we're gonna meet on middle ground. We live in the UK, you bring your culture in, I will bring my culture in, and it's a middle ground. It's nothing that we need to fight about. So that's how we deal with culture in our home and religion as well. It's something that we just sort of like implement, make it as peaceful as possible. Also teaching the history and accepting where both of us are coming from.
Because you need to know where you're coming from.
Yeah, because our kids, it's important for them.
And religiously, you need to decide what you're going to do as well, and that's something you need to talk about.
Yeah.
Probably right at the start of the relationship. Because the last thing you want is one person a bit more religious than the other one.
Yeah.
And then they start forcing a certain religion on the children, and then you become resentful, which I've spoken about before. To the point where you then say, look, you're not the same person.
Yes.
Or you start fighting each other, and you want to make sure that doesn't occur.
Yeah.
So you need to decide how you're going to teach these religions within your family. Are you going to teach your language? Am I going to teach my language? Right?
Yeah, what's happening?
Make your decisions at that point, so that you kind of got a clear pathway for when you do have kids, rather than you have kids and then the other person changes into something you didn't know.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my god, now they're becoming all religious. I didn't marry this person.
I know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so make sure you discuss this, because this is all a part of you having a good relationship that works.
A happy home.
And a happy home.
That's it.
So culture and religion is really important to discuss as part of a good marriage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in our home, like we said in the most asked question video, in our home, again, we keep religion very simple. We just believe like in love, in respecting each other, and just being a kind person. And that's just the person you are really should be sort of like, that's the good foundation for being a good person. And so religion wise, there's no particular religion that we practice other than being a good person, being a good human. And that's, so again, that's how we deal with religion and culture in our home. We keep it as simple as possible and just try to have a happy home.
But the tips basically are that speak to each other and don't, and try and learn about each other's cultures.
That's it.
And try and amalgamate them, because African and the Indian culture, there's so many similar things.
Yeah,
try and find similarities, so you're not within the relation, within the religion and culture.
Yeah.
Because then you're not going to be fighting over, oh, my one's better than yours, or da 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 da.
Yeah.
It has to be find the common ground, and when you find the common ground, use those things in your relationship to help your kids learn about both cultures.
Yeah.
So don't start going against each other, because that's not what you want.
Yeah, definitely don't focus on your differences.
Yeah,
like
or we're better than you.
Yeah. Focus on your similarities and make those the strong points that you work from. So guys, that's really it on us, how we deal with these subjects in our home. Again, would love to hear from you guys. How do you deal with religion and culture in your home? Again, leave the comments in the comment section, and we'll definitely love hearing from what you have to say. And then I
mean, there is one more point I would say, is especially if you do go to like temple or church, that if you find that you both want to take them somewhere, then you can take turns. So one week you could go to church, the other week you could go to the Gurdwara, which is the Sikh temple, or the mosque, or wherever you go. Like, take turns, or the synagogue. Like, don't start saying, no, it's only mine and that's it. So that's another thing. So make sure you come to an agreement on that. Okay, we're gonna actually follow it. Either we go as a family, which I would definitely recommend, because that's gonna make you stronger. But if you don't feel comfortable going with your partner, don't just say to your partner, you know what, it's cool. Babe, take the kids, I don't mind. But next week I'll probably take them to the Gurdwara. And be like, okay, cool. And that way you're not fighting. It's conducive to a good relationship.
That's it.
Everyone's relaxed, no one's fighting each other. Just talk to each other, make it clear schedule of how you're going to do it.
That's it. That's a very good point. Definitely like making sure.
I just thought, let me make that last point. Because that is important.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, in our house we don't really do that. We don't really go to church or Gurdwara. But as they get older, if my family wants to take them or whatever, I don't mind. Primrose doesn't mind. And if she wants to go with her family to church, I have absolutely no gripe.
Exactly. Yeah. We're very relaxed on those things. So again, guys, that's our thoughts on this subject. And remember to share this video with your friends and family. Give the video a thumbs up, because we really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe, because there's more wonderful topics that are coming up and you don't want to miss on anything that we have to share, because we're sharing as much good stuff as we can to make sure that you know all about how we keep our relationship really happy, easy, simple, and just flowing in a beautiful way. So guys, on that note, we're gonna let you go, and that's it.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.